All right, so we're here talking about yet another episode of The Mandalorian. Is it episode 11, Dennis?
Yeah, chapter 11,
Yeah, chapter 11. Uh,
the Heiress.
yeah, let's get down to it. What did you think about it? Well, first off, we have a new, well, I'm not really sure if you're a guest or a permanent attaché to this show. I don't know. Just depends on yourself, I guess. But like, care to sort of introduce yourself, please? Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. We'll see
No,
if
no problem.
see how badly I can ruin this. My
No,
name's
no.
I'm Matt Krotz, and I'm a comic artist and a longtime Star Wars fan. But probably I grew up on it, but as did a lot of people, and I invested pretty deeply in it. But
Right,
then as an adult, I'm a little rough around the edges
right,
now, especially since 2014.
right,
But
right.
it's yeah, I'm really digging Mandalorian, so it's looking forward to chatting about this episode.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with that show, and I was very apprehensive about it because I've been consistently and lamentably disappointed with everything in Disney Star Wars, that's been coming out. And Dennis knows all about that because he's had to listen to me go off about this for years now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, let's talk about the episode. I mean, for me, like this was the first kind of a letdown episode of the show actually, and I know,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I know that's kind of a sort of unpopular opinion on this episode, I guess, but I just can't help it. I just felt that it was very this was the first episode that felt very kind of fetch questy, kind of RPG type fetch quest kind of deal,
Hmm.
just kind of go there, meet this person, get this item and move on with the plot.
Hmm. I can understand that from an RPG standpoint because it did kind of feel a little bit video gamey sometimes the plot, but story wise, I think that this was one of the more important ones.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm just, I'm this sort of a side B plot that's going on with what's her face, the redheaded chick,
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan, right? I'm just not very invested in that because I've never been a fan of the Clone Wars TV show. I like the first one. I like the Samurai Jack, the Gendy Tartakovsky style
Hmm.
show, but I never cared for the CG animated one. So
Oh, no kidding.
yeah, no, never liked that. It made too many retcons, pointless retcons to pre-existing lore, material, and that
Hmm.
just that always felt very, I felt very betrayed by that as a fan, even back
Yeah.
10 years ago, when it started first airing. So
I
Yeah.
wasn't really a fan of the Clone Wars as it was happening because I knew about all those things that it was contradicting.
right, right,
Even though I hadn't really read into a lot of the EU at that point.
yeah,
I think it's easier for me to accept as a series when I disregard the EU from it and I
right,
just see it as like this is the Disney universe, this is the new one,
yeah.
and this is the old one, and just try to keep it out of Legends.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I mean, but it's just it's very difficult because Star Wars to me is Legends. The expanded
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
yeah,
the expanded universe for 23 years has been my Star Wars. So it's very hard to divorce the idea of Star Wars from that sort of framework, I suppose you could say.
yeah, yeah. I got that.
Yeah, but just like overall, yeah, it just felt very again very fetch questy, very kind of a bland. I wasn't a big fan of the him getting caught by the Quarren on the ship, and things like that. I was like, it just felt kind of this. I was going like in my head. I was like, can we just get this over with and get to the Mandalorians, and things like that. So
Man.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
can I
Go ahead.
let
Go
me
ahead.
let me let me throw
Go
let me
ahead.
throw this in
Yeah.
there. So for a lot of the 90s for me was the video games as
Right.
much as it was the books.
Right.
Sometimes it was more of the video games than anything else.
Yeah.
And uh, for me, Star Wars was kept alive. You can watch the original 3 a ton, and you'd catch the prequels in theaters, but like revisiting it a lot of times meant playing a game.
True.
And so the fetch quest kind of stuff, I think it rings true for me. And I also like like Jedi Outcast and a lot of these kind of games that had they tried to stay out of the way of the main characters from the 6 movies and focus on smaller stories and get you interested a bit more down on a more of grounded quests that were
Mundane.
just involved.
Yeah.
Like taking over a ship or this
Yeah.
or that.
Yeah. I mean,
And so
yeah.
that hit with me too.
Yeah, I'm not complaining about that. I'm just, I like
Yeah.
I like the sort of slice of life,
Uh-huh.
feel that the show has going for it. I like the idea that the Mando, like every week, he meets new people and he helps people out with their, various problems. I was just, this particular, setup in this episode didn't work for me at all. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe it was because what didn't work for me so much was I like Katie Sackhoff and I like I like Battlestar Galactica and
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like
me
that.
too.
But
I'm a huge fan of that show. So.
there's something every once in a while. It's starting to. This is kind of bubbling to the surface, I think, as we get more and more episodes of Mandalorian. But sometimes the lore dialogue, like the explaining the plot dialogue, gets a little too. I think it's a little clunky.
No. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe.
I mean, Star Wars is well known for that. That's like a
I mean,
tradition in Star Wars.
Yeah, but like
but,
maybe for somebody who's more casual about it, than I am. But like,
yeah,
I've been a huge, deep lore fan since 1997. So, that was my first sort of.
But
yeah.
do you think Katie did you get the impression that maybe she didn't understand a lot of her lines and she's like, I'm just here to put on a cool face and I'll say what I've memorized, but I don't know what I'm saying?
No, not at all.
Yes.
No, not at all.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, she is the voice of Bo-Katan in the show. So
Yeah, she's
the
always
Clone
been
Wars
this
animated.
character.
Yeah, she is. So she's the voice and she is the live action, incarnation of this character now. So
Which I think is really the first time that that's happened.
yeah, probably. Yeah.
We've had
that's cool.
Like I think in Rogue One we had Saw Gerrera who first appeared in the Clone Wars, but he was a very different character in the movie than he was in the show, and also played by a different actor.
Yeah.
But this is the first time that we've taken someone from a series, from an animated series, taken the voice actor and been like, okay, you're not only the face of this person in the cartoon, you're the face of this person in live action now, and it worked really well. I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good because I wasn't sure if she was selling the episode. Like it fits as a I don't know. On paper it fits, but I don't know if she gave a lot of energy to it, so maybe it was feeling flat for you guys just because of she's just staring,
Yeah, it sort of did feel like it was she was. It wasn't necessarily phoning it in, but just kind of sort of getting the paycheck, I suppose, in a way. I don't know if she's very enthusiastic about the Star Wars universe.
She is. I've seen.
Good.
Really?
About it.
Okay.
She
good.
posted being like, this was like a huge moment in my career for me and all this kind of stuff.
Oh wow.
I mean,
that's good.
Yeah, that's very cool. But yeah, I was very happy to see Katie Sackhoff, because I hadn't seen her in live action since like, my God, must have been BSG in 2004. So so I was very happy to see her. Very happy. Yeah.
Well, it kind of makes me think. See, now I'm thinking about what other actors and actresses are coming in, like Rosario Dawson that fans are excited about, and maybe like I'm wondering, like, can Rosario Dawson screw this up?
Well,
She's still not confirmed.
Oh, really? Okay.
She never has been.
She is though.
No, she's not.
Yes, she was on the website, on the
Mm.
Star Wars website. She was confirmed. So
What?
yes, I saw it. Um,
On the Star Wars website.
yeah, I think I saw something like that. I don't really know.
The only things that I ever saw were saying were just like from the clickbait sites, like the
Right.
the notorious
We
clickbait
got
sites
this
that
covered.
always
We got this
yeah that
covered.
never post anything that's with a source.
Yeah.
They just want people to click on it.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
What I will say though is that I've, I've been happy with the sort of original stuff that we get with this show. So this sort
Yeah.
of in injection of other material from the Clone Wars and things like that, that sort of I feel like this show is beginning to sort of veer off course in that way. Like I get that it
Mm.
opens up the
It's a
universe.
Dave Filoni world. Is that
Yeah,
kind of what?
yeah.
Yeah.
I get that it sort of opens up the galaxy more, and it brings up, it brings fan favorites and into the mix. But again, I've never been a fan of the Clone Wars series, so
Yeah.
I don't really care about Ahsoka. I don't really care about
Mm.
Bo-Katan, and I don't really know much about these people because I never saw. I saw like the first season of the Clone Wars, and then I saw the final few episodes because Dennis told me to watch
Mm,
them
yeah.
basically.
yeah,
So
the first
That's as
season
much as I've seen too.
yeah,
first season is I've seen this compared a lot of the time. The first season is like very childish, like it's not great. Second season's a little bit better, and then once you get into seasons like 3 through 7, it's fantastic. They delve way more into like the war side of things, and
I mean, but
Mm.
that's not necessarily what interests me about Star Wars. Even though it's in the franchise title,
yeah.
the war part isn't what's interesting to me. What I care about is the characters. I care about
Mm.
the philosophical implications of the Force, and things like that. So for me to even enjoy the Mandalorian in the first place is very unusual because
Mhm.
it's not the kind of Star Wars story that I would usually gravitate toward. Usually, I'm very partial to Force users. So yeah,
As someone who watched and like I did like Clone Wars and Rebels.
right,
Uh, I think that these references are I think that they're good for bringing people into it, especially for people who were like, "Oh, I just watched these series and everything," and it's nice to see. I just hope that the series doesn't begin to rely on
right,
it.
right.
I'm perfectly okay with Ahsoka and Bo-Katan appearing. I would say more so with Bo-Katan. I hope that Ahsoka is just like a one-off, like okay,
Cameo kind of deal,
Yeah.
yeah,
just
like
one or two
comes in for
episodes.
one
Yeah,
episode,
yeah,
says like, okay, now here's what to do with the child, blah blah blah. Blah. Here's
yeah.
where to find like other Jedi or something like that.
I really
Bo-Katan,
feel like the Ahsoka injection of Ahsoka into the show is just an excuse to get lightsabers in there, and I just
Yeah.
yeah, I don't necessarily feel like that fits. Like I remember back when season one finale aired, right, and then it ends with Moff Gideon and the dark saber, right? I remember I groaned like audibly because I didn't want the
Yeah.
dark saber. I was like, oh, not this crap again. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so this is the Dave Filoni world invading the the space that I've kind of grown to love, and yeah, just yeah, wasn't a fan
I
of
Yeah.
it.
think that I think that the dark saber's not gonna it's gonna play a part in the season. I don't think it's gonna be like the main focus though. I
Yeah,
do think that Bo-Katan is going to be a very important factor in the show in terms of showing Din that he doesn't need to like keep his helmet on all the time.
right,
Like
right.
that it was just like a small I did like that a lot. That it was like they finally explained why he
Yeah,
can't like that
yeah,
they actually it's not like a normal thing that
yeah.
it's like
It's kind of
oh
like
he's from this other sect of
yeah,
Mandalorians.
extremists kind of a deal.
I like
Zealots.
that.
Yeah, yeah. And can we just take a moment to appreciate how cool it is that we have a show where the main character hides his face like 99.9% of the time, right?
It's been on screen, but not counting when he was a kid, but like Pedro Pascal's face has been on screen for like five
For
seconds
like five
this
seconds.
whole show.
Yeah.
Hmm.
In that scene in the season 1 finale where he's being healed by IG-11 with the Bacta spray, that's
Yeah.
it. That's all we got, with his phase. And yeah, I've been very impressed with that. I'm very impressed by how he can emote, like how much he can emote, even underneath
Yeah,
the
it's
helmet.
crazy.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get good takes out of him with the audio and
Yeah, they do.
uh, the ADR stuff, and
Yeah,
yeah,
and
he's.
yeah. Go ahead.
I'm wondering if this is them helping to establish a pivot point for him, for the actor to get what he was negotiating for
Which
between
is
seasons.
which is getting the helmet off, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
getting his own helmet
yeah,
off, and
yeah.
maybe they want to kind of lay some groundwork for that.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, probably. But I've, at the same time, I understand that because he's an actor. He wants his
Hmm.
face, on screen and things like that. But like, I feel, at the same time, it kind of takes away from the Star Wars feel of it all because
Hmm.
Mandalorians do wear helmets, for the most part, like in everyday life, and things like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
even,
It just
even
did kind of seem
yeah,
a
go.
little weird to me to be like, oh, no living thing can see my face. I'm like,
Yeah,
so you literally can't ever take it off
yeah.
when like there's anyone around. That was kind of weird to me. Like if you go into like a bar or something, you
Yeah,
can't get a drink or I
and
don't
just
know.
like, are you
Hmm.
telling me that he's never removed the helmet in presence of Baby Yoda, right?
I
So,
guess not.
okay, that's
I
well, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, but like even in things like Knights of the Old Republic, you see the Mandalorians wear the helmets all the time. Um, so it's nothing really new there necessarily. Uh, but yeah, I do I do understand Pedro Pascal's kind of feelings about it. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah, he's an actor after all. So
I Someone actually pointed something out to me about this episode. Well, not about this episode in particular, but what like this episode in conjunction with the other two episodes means. We've seen, aside from a couple of shots of Navarro, every single shot that was in the trailer for this season,
right,
Hmm.
meaning that we're kind of going into like unfamiliar territory
yeah,
at this
yeah, we
point.
are, yeah,
Which obviously we knew we were going to have to probably go back to Navarro to get Grief and Kara,
right, right,
but
Hmm.
besides that, that's 5 episodes where we really don't know what things are going to look like at all.
right, right. Um, and I am, I am very much, waiting for the return of Grief Karga because again, he's my
Yeah.
favorite character. I don't know about you guys, but
He's pretty
anything
cool.
Carl Weathers does is automatically like gold for me. So
Hmm.
yeah, so I'm very very happy with him. Like
Yeah,
it,
he's a good like Han Solo type
yeah, it's
character
kind
where
of
you feel like,
kind of a rogue. Yeah,
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 like he's impressed with his own. He thinks he can handle the
yeah,
situation.
yeah.
It's just like Harrison Ford frequently gets himself in situations where
In over
he's,
his head. Yeah,
yeah, he's not. You don't really think he
He can
he can
also
actually
think for
handle as
himself.
many things as he thinks.
yeah,
He
Yeah.
can think for himself, which is kind of cool.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
Because like the whole double cross idea that was going to happen in at the end of season 1,
yeah,
and then he just kills the two guys and is
yeah,
like, "Yep, this is how it was going to
yeah.
go, but I've
Yeah,
decided that I'm
exactly.
changing the plan now."
Yeah, exactly. He's sort of
Mm.
he's kind of flying by the seat of his pants almost, in that way. And then Cara Dune, yeah, huge fan of her character. Um, but Mando himself, Din Djarin himself, uh, he doesn't do much for me. I have a hard time getting a feel of him. What kind of a
I
person
feel
he.
like that's kind of the point of him, which is
Probably,
kind of
yeah, yeah,
interesting. It's like, I mean, they knew that was going to happen when you keep your character masked the whole time.
yeah,
Mm.
So he's kind of just this like, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like he's like the straight man, you know?
yeah. He's the straight man.
It's like
Yeah,
he's what keeps everything just grounded, and everything just kind of happens around him.
yeah.
Hmm.
Which isn't necessarily a good thing because that's sort of a trait of a passive character, and Ray is probably like in the recent years
Mm.
the most painful example of a very passive character. She just kind of goes through life and things just kind of happen to her. She doesn't move the plot along, the plot moves her along. So um, yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
I've complained long and hard about those movies for so many years, and I'm so tired of talking about the sequels and just
That's fair.
let's not even go there, okay?
Well, Gabe, how do you think that because now we have other Mandalorians, including another fan favorite character with Bo-Katan, how do you think that's gonna um, coincide with whatever they're gonna do with Boba Fett?
I don't know. You know, that's going to be very interesting because you know there was this like retcon now that Boba Fett was never a real Mandalorian in the first place, even though he is in Legends. So
It's I kind of I kind of ignore that
yeah,
because the retcon itself doesn't make much sense.
no, it doesn't. No.
Um, because it's in the Clone Wars they retcon it, and it's when Obi-Wan is on Mandalore, and he even is like, "Oh yeah, I met one of your kind. I was a bounty hunter called Jango Fett," and then the Prime Minister says something like, "Oh, Jango Fett's not a Mandalorian. He was
Yeah,
just a bounty hunter." But
yeah, you
the
told me
Prime
about
Minister
that. Yeah,
himself the prime minister's a traitor to Mandalore in
yeah,
the end.
yeah,
So
exactly.
how do we even know that he was telling the truth?
I don't know,
Mm.
And why
but
would they include Boba Fett in the show if he's not a Mandalorian?
I don't know, but
They're obviously going somewhere with
yeah,
that.
but it's going to be
Mm.
very interesting to kind of see what the whole deal with his armor is going to be. Like, is he trying to get it back? Like, it seems like it's bubbling in that direction, but I'm not really sure.
Well, it also it's the whole the Mandalorian is a creed, right?
Right.
It's not like a race. And I even if they go along the line where Boba Fett was never a Mandalorian,
Yeah.
I think I'd still be okay with them being like, okay, but he's going to be one now. He's going to become one.
Yeah. I mean,
Mm.
but like,
That'd be pretty cool.
That's cool.
yeah. I mean, in Legends, the Mandalorians were a species, uh,
The
called the
Tong, right?
Tong. Yeah, sort of related to humans genetically. Actually, there was this huge war on Coruscant, like hundreds of thousands of years ago in the past, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
And basically, yeah, the Mandalorians were a species, and then they sort of, you know, diversified out into a this kind of a general warrior culture creed, you know.
Kind of the same way that the Sith did,
Kind of
where
this,
it's like
yeah,
you have the
same
Sith
way, yeah,
species,
yeah,
and
Hmm.
then everything
yeah,
it
yeah.
just kind of
This,
becomes like a religion
yeah,
or a belief.
yeah, yeah. The Sith used to be a species, now it's a belief. So,
Hmm.
or a
Hmm.
philosophy rather.
Which is
Yeah.
interesting. I think it opens up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Do you guys think so? I guess since the Mandalorian creed and religion is taking the place for the time being of well, it's probably going to stay this way of the Force in the Jedi.
Yeah.
Uh, does this have as much heft to it? I guess
No,
like does
no,
this?
no.
Yeah.
Because see, the problem is that the entire metaphysical framework of the Star Wars universe is built around the Force, right? So if you take
Hmm.
the Jedi, the Sith, Force users away, if you take the Force itself away, all you're really left with is kind of a good sci-fi fantasy action franchise. So
Hmm.
the Force,
You're kind of left with the J.J. Abrams Star Trek
pretty
movies.
much, yeah. I mean, like
Hmm.
the Force is what makes Star Wars, right? So I think to kind of veer away from that is a huge mistake. But I don't think they're going to
Yeah.
do that. I think they do know and they do count on how important the Force is as this sort of
Oh,
a
otherwise, yeah, they wouldn't be having like Baby Yoda in this
no way, no
because
way,
they're
man.
showing how
Mm.
like even
That's a
though
good
a
point.
lot of them haven't, and I know we talked about how it's kind of weird that nobody really knows about like the Jedi anymore,
Yeah,
but even though a lot of these characters don't really know about it, they're like still amazed by how much like power the Force
yeah,
has,
exactly.
and the fact that he's bringing them to the Jedi. I don't know what the whole deal with Ahsoka is. I don't know what they're gonna do with that,
Yeah,
but so I've seen some possibility that they would bring him to Luke, but
right,
I don't know how
right.
that would work.
Mm.
No, I mean, but like Ahsoka was confirmed in this episode to probably appear in the next one next week. So,
Mm.
or you
I'm
know,
not sure if they would do that or not though.
well,
If like the next episode, I mean.
yeah, well, it sort of remains to be seen, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't really. I don't. Yeah, I never cared. Like I like Ahsoka as a character, but I don't feel like I never understood her place in this setting, right? I
Hmm.
Hmm.
I I I never felt like Anakin should have ever had a Padawan. I think that was a sort of conceptual error on the part of the people, who on Dave Filoni and just God help me for saying this, George Lucas.
Yeah,
I
no,
really
yeah, there's
think,
George.
yeah, I really think it was like I understand what her function is in Anakin's life is to teach him responsibility or something like that. But I really feel like Ahsoka sort of takes away from his growth as a person during the war. So
Hmm.
and it, it does feel like, and the Clone Wars is Ahsoka's story. It's not Anakin's story. So
Yeah.
I
yeah,
would
I mean, she
actually,
does kind of soak up a bit of the uh, development that would otherwise have been Anakin's.
yeah, and I feel
You
I
know,
would
like
as like
actually,
a kid, the young character that's supposed to be the accessible one that helps you to see
yeah,
the events of the story
yeah,
through a particular relatable experience.
yeah,
That's what she does more than Anakin's allowed to do, and so
yeah.
that might make the prequels a bit more. At least Episode 3 might feel a bit more hollow to some people
Well,
because
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I would argue though that
Hmm.
she also kind of does help his character along in some cases,
Yeah.
because one big thing that happens is that she leaves the Jedi Order
right,
because the Jedi are like, "Oh, you committed this
right,
crime,"
right.
and she didn't. She got framed for it, and without even researching it, they expelled her pretty
Yeah,
much.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
then when they
Hmm.
said that she could come back in, she was like, "No, I'm leaving. I'm
yeah.
done with
But by the
this."
way,
And so Anakin looked at that and went, "Why am I trusting these
yeah,
people?" And it
exactly.
really
Yeah,
kind of destroyed his trust
Hmm.
even more,
yeah.
which
By
we
the way,
see it especially in Revenge of the Sith.
yeah,
Hmm.
I really like that moment where sort of Ahsoka becomes disillusioned in that episode with the council. You can see it
Yeah.
happen on her face, and I was like, don't do it. Just don't go back. Don't go back. They betrayed you. Just leave the whole thing behind. And that's what they did, and I was very happy with that because. It's something that I would have done with her character. So it's always very nice to get validation, in these sorts of
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
I get what they've
Hmm.
been trying to do with Ahsoka lately. It's kind of weird. I get what they've been doing though, because do you remember the Mortis episodes of the Clone
Yeah,
Wars?
yeah, I do.
Oh yeah.
So they're trying to have Ahsoka take the place of the daughter from that, I think, and it's with like the
Hmm.
whole bird
Right, right.
situation.
Yeah,
And I could be mistaken. I think they were supposed to have like Anakin take the place of the son
right, right.
as Vader. I'm not sure what the deal with the father was.
I mean, but like, again, that sort of this idea that Ahsoka would represent the light side of the Force and Vader would represent the dark side of the Force. That's sort of a again conceptual error because that completely misses the point of how the Force actually works, what balance actually means, what it means to bring balance to the Force. Um, this has been
Yeah.
argued over for
Right, right,
close to
right.
two
Well,
decades.
and
By
it depends. Don't you think it depends on uh, what point in time you ask George
Yeah.
Lucas,
yeah,
which is tough to
Actually, I
say.
was also
But
going to say it depends at what point of time you look at Anakin as a character, because
hmm.
he could have been that. You could look at it as Anakin being the dark part, like of the quote balance, even though that's not what balance is in Star Wars. But then achieving that balance by destroying the Sith,
yeah, I mean, but that's
Yeah.
the
right?
yeah, but that's the point, isn't it? I mean, that's what bringing balance to the Force means. It means
Right.
to
Yeah.
remove, yeah,
Everything's light side now.
yeah, every
That's
yeah,
balance.
yeah. It is balance, but it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a different kind of balance. It's not this equilibrium between two forces. It's more like more
The
kind of
one
like a,
force being weighed down by
yeah,
something
yeah,
else.
yeah, exactly right. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, it does make just getting back to Ahsoka, like I'm wondering, and we've got a lot of more exploration of gray Jedi kind of concepts, as a term and as characters, and
yeah,
maybe are we gonna? I'm assuming we're gonna go with how Filoni is with the Mortis and how he's developed Ahsoka. I'm I wouldn't be surprised if the Jedi that we do see in this, at least in Ahsoka, are going to be, uh, well, I don't know if they're even going to call themselves Jedi. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
I
they might
mean,
have lightsabers, but they're going to be thinking of themselves as ascendant beyond that duality or something. Or
but
uh,
it's not possible to ascend beyond the duality, because the
Right.
yeah,
duality is the very foundation of the Force itself. So
yeah.
yeah,
So you don't think she's going to break out the Force lightning or something? Or,
No, I very much doubt it.
yeah,
She's
like
she's stuck to the light side of the
yeah,
Force, even though she's not a Jedi.
yeah, like
yeah.
she may say, like in the episode where she fights Vader on Malachor, she may say that she's not a Jedi, but really she does align with those values still. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's interesting to me that Bo-Katan instantly was like, "Oh yeah, I'll show you where Ahsoka is,"
yeah,
because the last that I think we ever saw them in contact with each other was Siege of Mandalore,
yeah. I mean,
and
but
even then, Ahsoka wasn't a Jedi, and she knew that.
yeah,
Hmm.
but like, the what is a Jedi and what is not a Jedi is a very interesting philosophical question that we don't have time to go into right now. But
Especially post Return of the Jedi.
yeah, exactly right.
You have a
Hmm.
lot to
But
choose from.
yes, but
Mm.
the the point is, right, what is and what is not a Jedi is a very nebulous idea for most people in the galaxy, because most people don't know anything about Jedi or Sith. So, and that's actually one of the sort of more interesting aspects about the first Knights of the Old Republic game, and the second even. They talk about the Jedi Civil War, and the reason it's called the Jedi Civil War is because most people can't tell the difference between those two forces, Sith and Jedi. To
Well,
Mm.
also because I would say most of it wasn't really Sith as much; it was Jedi who'd fallen.
Fallen Jedi, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
I mean, Revan and Malak were Sith in that they embraced the Sith values and the Sith teachings, and they were
Mhm.
mind raped by Lord Vitiate. It's just oh god, that whole mess with the Sith Emperor. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into that, but yeah, but the point is, like, to most people in the galaxy, the idea of a Jedi is very nebulous indeed. So
Yeah,
so it's
yeah,
just
but I think Filoni for one of his, he's got strengths and weaknesses, and one of his strengths I think is uh he provides a lot of weird, interesting innovations to the Star Wars universe that cause debate, but they're the sort of debates that we've had, with George in the past, and it's the sort of weird stuff that George approved of when he was still there. So it makes me like, as strange as the Mortis arc is, and as strange as like this, trying to figure out who's the daughter and who's the son, all those, like, that sort of weird thing. Like that's the weird sort of stuff that I could see still fitting. It still feels like Star Wars in a weird way. So whatever we get with this TV show, I think it's gonna feel it. I think it's probably gonna still resonate, even though it's gonna be more than just light side, dark side. Now, but you know, at least if you're digging into it, you're gonna find that
yeah, but
he's adding more dimensions, I guess, to how you understand these characters.
yeah, but that breaks the entire again, it breaks the entire metaphysical framework of the franchise. So trying to
Yeah,
smuggle trying to smuggle
that's fair.
any kind of grayness into Star Wars is a black and white morality tale. That's what it is. And that's what it
Yeah,
was conceived as, It was
I
a
would say there are tales of gray though, but it mostly shows how it can't exist. Like
yeah.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
it's the characters that are gray, but it's the morality
No,
that
it's
is
like,
still.
look, there's no such thing as moral grayness. Moral grayness is it's ambiguity. That's it. That's all there is
it's
to it.
apathy.
It's
Hmm.
apathy and it's ambiguity, and it's the uncomfortable indecision between good and evil. It's that moment where you're hanging on a choice, and you haven't made the choice yet, that's what moral grayness is. It's not
Hmm.
it's not an actual moral dimension, and this is something that anybody who reads basic ethics philosophy would know. And so that's why the very idea of smuggling so-called grayness into the setting is always a very, it's a very off-putting prospect for me. So
Yeah,
It has to be
yeah.
done.
Well, like characters like Kyle Katarn, I guess that's not an example of a gray Jedi. That's the example of a complicated man struggling,
yeah,
to find his way in the universe.
yeah,
I guess
yeah,
And then
is
you
kind of
have
what you're getting
someone
at.
like, you have a lot of the stuff in KOTOR too that's like that.
yeah.
Where
Hmm.
I mean, but
it also shows you that the act of not being able to make a choice itself can both be defined as good and evil.
evil, yes,
It's good that you're hesitating
Hmm.
to make the evil choice,
yeah,
but it's evil that you're hesitating to make the good
good
choice.
choice,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's the ultimate evil to make no choice at all, as far as I'm concerned.
Apathy is
Yeah,
death.
apathy is
Wow.
death. It's worse than death, even, as Kreia would tell you.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, the best.
yeah, exactly. But where was I? I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, but yeah, Ahsoka Tano. It's. I mean, there's always, like, I always find it interesting. Like, there's the lore side, and we've always been really taken very good care of, I think, in terms of, like, they always give us more lore in Star
Yes,
Wars than
yes,
other franchises, because it was shepherded by this weird eccentric billionaire who was always, more involved in this franchise than most other people are
and
in their
was
jobs. So yeah.
and sort of became a businessman and a billionaire by accident. He never meant that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was always this artiste, this artiste type. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But I think we're all learning, I think, as fans, that the normal way that franchises play themselves out is it's like a working friendship between making stories that make business sense and making stories that make uh, you know in the
are
lore encyclopedia
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
And
and yeah,
we've gotten to we forgot that because George made bad business decisions and show a lot for the sake of the story, or what he thought the story should be.
yeah. I mean,
But now we're getting a little bit more where, I don't know, sometimes we might get Ahsoka Tano doing some things that make sense in the terms of how they want to market the show and they want to appeal, that maybe George wouldn't have thought of as much. But most franchise, pretty much all, well, now basically George was the last stand, and
yeah,
now it's all franchises kind of do kind of figure out, like they market tests, and they say, well, what
yeah,
what do people want to see? Maybe they want to see her flash her lightsaber, or they want
yeah.
to see her
George,
say something about the
George,
I
yeah,
Force.
do think
George,
that Filoni wouldn't do much without asking George first.
yeah.
Yeah,
But like
They have a
George,
that's
very
fair.
close
but
relationship
yeah,
on
but
that.
like George
Hmm.
never really cared about what the fans think in the first place. He never really cared what other people have to say. So
Yeah.
his creative choices, toward the end of the lifespan of Lucasfilm under Lucas himself, toward the end of
Hmm.
that era, he was making business choices that were costing the company a lot of money. And because
Yeah.
yeah, and because of that, he started feeling really guilty about it, and he was like, I got to do
Hmm.
something about this. And so that was when it, the sort of lamentation, well, not lamentation, it's kind of a sort of suffering of his employees was kind of a sort of deciding factor in selling the company to
Hmm.
Disney, because he was like, I'm making these movies that are not making money, they're not financially successful, and I don't want my employees to suffer for it. So
That
Hmm.
that that kind of, I would say, started out with like Young Indiana Jones.
yeah, I really did.
Is that
Hmm.
I haven't watched most of it, but from what I've heard, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
It's
great
Yeah,
it's a
they're
show.
really
really
good.
well
Yeah,
developed series, but
yeah,
it cost so much money
it
that
did.
it was cut short.
And then of course, Red Tails lost money, I think. Or was it
Hmm.
Red Tails, the World War II movie about
Yeah,
the
I
African
think that's the
American,
one.
yeah, squadron. And then
Willow.
Will Willow, but that was in the 1980s though. I'm talking about the
Yeah,
more recent years,
that's true. That's true.
the past decade or so, or past two
I
decades
remember there
rather.
being, okay, this is a weird memory for me. It just popped up. I remember being on like the Star Wars website shop section back in like 2005,
Right.
and there was a game that they were really trying to push, and I can't remember what it is, but it's like on the tip of my tongue.
Right.
I don't remember hearing anything about ever again.
Is it like a browser game, browser based flash game?
No, it was I think it was just like a LucasArts
Right.
like multi-platform kind of game but it wasn't Star Wars. It was something else.
Right. Right. It was something other than
It was before Thrillville came out.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, like, again, in the past 2 decades, like, again, Red Tails lost money, and then Strange Magic lost a huge amount of money. So
Yeah.
I
always meant to see that. Like, I don't even know. I think he hit it.
It's a very eccentric movie that could only ever appeal to fans of Lucas himself. So I'm a huge fan of Strange Magic because I like George Lucas. I like his movies. I like his filmmaking. Yeah, but that movie lost a lot of money, and he was like, you know what, I can't keep doing this, to my employees. So, yeah, that was one of the big factors in selling the company to Disney. So,
yeah, and now we have people that which again is normal now. We're playing with the rules now, not the exceptions to the rules. We have a company that is thinking about, we're going to take risks, but they have to be risks that are going to land financially.
Yeah.
So, which is why Ahsoka's in this to begin with, and is why whatever we get, it's going to be,
I think that this show has played it safe in all the right areas.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
And one of the biggest ones to me, especially shown by this latest episode, is the aliens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They've really made a point of bringing back a lot of the Star Wars aliens that we
everybody
know as Star
loves.
Wars
Yeah,
aliens,
everybody
and
loves.
not just introducing new ones every 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like we really haven't seen too many Mon Cala and
Quarren
on screen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think he killed a Quarren in the first episode, like with the door closing.
Yeah, I mean, we see Quarren in the prequels and Return of the Jedi, and things like that. But those are just
not much. Not sort of. There's not a focus on.
Yeah,
them.
incidental background, decorations, extras, things like that. So, yeah, but
and it's cool to just go to a water world, to go to. I guess that was Mon Calamari itself,
no, it
the
wasn't.
planet, right?
No, it wasn't. No,
I think it was.
It was Trask. Yeah, I thought.
Oh man.
Yeah. I thought it was Dak too. Dak is another name for Mon Calamari, so neutral name.
Oh, cool.
To please the Quarren population of Mon Calamari.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That is kind of Mon Cal supremacist.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, can't have that.
Yeah,
but
it's cool to see them both. I don't know, just get them both on a water world. Feels it makes sense.
Yeah,
really
but
every time we've seen Mon Cala in any sort of like Mon Calamari in any sort of visual medium,
it's always different.
It's always been about the war between
Quarren and the Mon Calamari.
Yeah. It was like that in the original Clone Wars series. It was like that in the 2008 series. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And like now we're actually finally seeing them as like just two races.
Yeah, coexisting.
Because they both kind of sucked in this. Like, they were both kind of like and but like, instead of just being like, oh look, here's the good guys, here's the bad guys.
But the very fact that I thought that the water world was actually Mon Calamari or Dak, that just kind of speaks to an issue that comes up with this show fairly often, which is that we get these we don't really get sort of like I get that that's part of the Star Wars sort of this very similitude of the Star Wars, filmmaking and things like that. We don't really get any title cards saying the planet's name or anything like that. So it's very frustrating, thinking, oh, this is Mon Calamari, this is Tatooine, or something like that. Then it turns out to be something completely different. So
Rogue One was the only one that did that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it does kind of feel out of place again, but it's a Star Wars spin-off thing. It's not one of
it felt more like a war movie, so it made sense.
Yeah. And so I think it would make sense in this show as well. But it is what it is, so can't do anything about it.
Hmm.
I'm not one of the creative minds behind the show, and I'm sure I would do much worse, running the show than, even though I am a filmmaker. So, yeah,
Well, yeah, it's. I think it's in good hands still,
yeah,
and
no, yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah,
it was groundbreaking in 2019
yeah, it
with the
was.
first season,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's just got to keep that up.
we actually talked about that in our first podcast. We talked about,
Mm.
which was never released because my audio got corrupted.
Oh no,
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like half of it was just like gone, right? Um,
no.
but yeah, but like we talked about the fact that the Mandalorian was a surprise success for Disney because it, it singularly, launched the Disney Plus platform, right? And the
Mhm.
server, the website was crashing on day one because of the demand for the show, and things like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it, like, I've been very impressed with the show. Like, I don't want to, I don't want anybody to get, come off with the impression that I hated this episode or I hate the show now or anything like that. It was just, it just felt a little bit weak. That's all.
So just like, can I ask what episodes from season 1 or 2 uh, really stood out to you? Like when does it really hit the nail on the head for you?
Well, do you want to go first, Dennis, or should I?
Yeah,
Yeah, for both of y'all. Yeah.
well, I think we actually agree on them for the most part.
For the most part, yeah.
I think that the Deborah Chow directed episodes are my
Episode,
favorite
yeah,
ones, episodes
yeah,
3 and 7.
definitely,
I
yeah,
think
Mhm.
episode 8 was very good as well,
yeah,
and I think my favorite of all time might have been the season 2 opener so far.
yeah. That
Mhm.
was, yeah. I was very, yeah. I with season two opener, I was very, I was smiling all the way through. I had this huge, dumb, idiotic smile on my face because I was getting so many KOTOR vibes, with the Great Dragon, and things like that. There was so much,
Yeah.
there was so much lore, deep lore exploration, going on, and so yeah, I've been nothing but satisfied so far. So I have very few complaints about this show. Like any complaints I might have are mostly shallow in nature. So
Mm.
yeah, but yeah, we agree for the most part on our favorite episodes. So
I think mine for last season was The Prisoner, uh, episode
yeah,
6 with Bill
yeah,
Burr and
yeah,
all that.
yeah, the prison ship. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I like that episode. Yeah, Bill Burr is always fun. Like, like of all the people to show up in the Star Wars universe, Bill Burr is the last person I expected. You know,
That
Yeah,
had the
yeah,
most wild crew of actors too. Like
I
yep.
know, right?
you had Mr. Krabs
Yeah.
as the Deveronian. You had Matt Lanter, who played Anakin in the Clone Wars
It
series
was
as
the
Mhm.
the officer.
officer, yeah, on the
You
bridge,
had
yeah.
Dave Filoni, Deborah Chow, and Rick Famuyiwa. Is that his name?
I don't know how to pronounce that name.
Well, yeah, but the directors of a couple of the
Yeah,
episodes
as
cameo as
pilots, yeah, Rebel,
yeah,
Mhm.
New Republic pilots, things like that. So
yeah, it was
yeah,
nuts.
so that episode was a lot of fun, and I think that sort of summarizes the entirety of the first season. A lot of fun. It was just, it was plain. Yeah, that's it. It was fun. That's it. That's the word.
Mhm. Mhm.
Three
Yeah,
letters.
I think for just there's something about Star Wars continues to have legs when I think it doesn't try and I'm sure you guys have talked endlessly about this, but when it doesn't try to uh, pick up the plot of the original
Yeah,
trilogy or something
Uh-huh.
and then just repattern it
yeah,
for a 21st century or something
yeah.
like that. Uh, but it just finds these it's because it's a franchise that I mean it's the most expensive and successful indie film franchise
Of
in
all time,
history.
yes,
You
yes, it
know?
is.
It's
Uh,
always been an outsider project, but it's had a complicated, this weird paradoxical relationship with Fox and with
Well, because
in
of that,
Hollywood, in San Francisco. It's part of the system, and yet it's always outside of the system, making decisions that keep it from being, Screen Actors Guild people can't work on it. Like that's what it's been, the way no other franchise has been able to do. Certainly no other sci-fi show has been able to do, where you get this tension of like, it's weird, kind of like creepy chop shop eccentric people who just want to like make strange rubber masks and wear them on screen, and then like some of the most expensive and mind-blowing CG effects you've ever seen. But they always mash that together, and there's a charm to that we've gotten for 40 years now.
Yeah, I
Because
would.
of that,
It's cool to see that still happen. So
Yeah, I would still sort of contest the idea that Star Wars is sci-fi, but maybe that's another, you know.
well, that's part of that tension, right? Where is it fantasy? Is it sci-fi? It's kind of,
Well, it is fantasy. I mean,
yeah.
George has mentioned that several times over. He says,
it's space
in
fantasy.
yeah, in a lot of interviews, he says, I don't like sci-fi. I'm not a huge fan of science fiction.
Yeah.
But I like what
It's
science.
definitely more fantasy than sci-fi
I,
for sure. That's
but
the
but
heartbeat
but
is fantasy.
but he likes what science fiction can be as a sort of
A
sociological
setting.
setting. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
I think that because of it being like this indie franchise and relying on fantasy, you can. It's really the best location to have this sort of hero's journey,
pretty
and
much.
it always focuses on um, what the little people can accomplish.
Yeah,
It,
yeah,
it
Yeah.
it almost always starts out with a sort of like someone who's like an unlikely hero, someone who is just kind of thrust into this. Like even in the Mandalorian with Din, he's just a
yeah,
bounty hunter. He's just trying to get his best scar. He's trying to keep the
yeah,
Mandalorian strong,
yeah,
and he
exactly.
gets
Mhm.
thrust into this. I have to return this child to its people.
Yeah,
He gets
yeah,
entrusted with this journey.
yeah. So Star Wars is all about characters that get entangled in events that are much greater than themselves. So I feel like um, fuck, I again lost my train of thought. Somebody pick up from here. I'm
Well,
very,
it's
I'm
I
very
think
tired. Sorry about
no,
that.
yeah, it's late for
Uh,
you, but it's nice. It's nice that I think one of the reasons why it's been so successful as a franchise is because those thematic elements of
yes.
ragtag ne'er do wells that in polite society they don't have any reason to get along,
No.
and yet uh, these outsiders are able to kind of point their blasters at the center, the the centralized force of darkness
Right.
at
Right.
the middle of the galaxy, and kind of overturn that, and revolt it, so that you get to, I don't know, to bring freedom to the galaxy. Like, that's a really heroic message, and the company in its history has done that, and George Lucas in his career has done that, which is cool. So
Yeah,
it's
with
I think
Hollywood,
it's
yeah.
more of a
Yeah.
challenge for Disney to continue to pull that off, because they don't have an outsider. They can't even pretend to have that outsider veneer, but Filoni can kind of bring that.
Yeah.
And if they hit not just the visuals, but if they continue to hire people who appear to genuinely care about puppetry, and um, not just the lore but the production, where it really feels like um, they're throwing everything they can because they're really passionate about this as a passion project. It's not just a business. Then I think they'll continue to
There's
find that, resolve that tension, I guess, every episode, where
Yeah.
it's like a
the
fun fan
production of
film.
this the production of this show was hatched out of imagination. If you look
Mm,
at
Yeah.
like
mhm.
if you look at the if any other Star Wars movies that are not like the original six or any of the Disney ones,
Right.
even though I do like some of them, whatever, they just kind of seem like movies. There's nothing
Mm,
overtly special about a lot of them. I will say that that Rogue One really gave a lot in like the motion capture thing with Tarkin and whatever. So,
mhm.
but this added something to the film industry, just like the original and
The
prequel
virtual
trilogies did.
sets. Yeah, the
Yeah,
virtual
Mhm.
sets.
like that whole like
Definitely.
that panoramic screen
Yeah,
that
that's
looks so incredibly detailed.
yeah, and it looks real. And you look at
Just
the
like the prequel trilogy revolutionized motion capture CGI.
Yeah.
It revolutionized miniatures even.
Yeah, but I'm like stunned. Like I made a post about it on Twitter. I'm stunned with the virtual sets. I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're in a studio, but it looks like they're on location. The
It looks
the,
like
the
they're in a big sprawling canyon,
yeah,
but
yeah.
there's just a big
Yeah, the lighting.
LED screen.
Yeah, the lighting is natural because it's coming off the screen. The you know,
Yeah.
the panoramic thing. You know, um,
Yeah.
yeah. So again, Star Wars revolutionizing what can be done in film and how film is being made. And
Yeah, like no
yeah,
one talks about this stuff from Star Trek,
no,
or
but the difference is like this time it's happening on small screen instead of the big screen. So yeah. But
yeah,
like, yeah,
which is a revolution in itself
yeah,
to be able to continue that
I,
really pushing technology, but for television.
I am a fan of Star Trek, but I don't feel like it's ever really had the same impact that Star Wars did. So,
Yeah.
especially on global scale, I feel like Star Trek has influenced American culture maybe
hmm
more global, as
Mhm.
opposed to global consciousness. Whereas Star Wars has been very much of a sort of a global phenomenon. It's been very it's been sort of a accepted across almost all
I
cultures,
will say that
throughout the world.
they're very similar
Yeah, the
in the way that they both came out of someone just wanting to make something that was never
hmm
supposed to explode.
yeah, I
It
mean,
was
but
never supposed to become this huge franchise. It was supposed to be just like, I want to tell this story.
yeah, but that's where the similarities really end. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they're very different settings, and they're very different. They have very
They're
different
different
aims.
genres.
Yeah, genres are different,
Yeah.
and the aims are different, right? Star Wars presents the metaphysics of Star Wars. They present sort of human nature as it is, right? As ugly as this ugly dualistic thing that we're probably always gonna struggle with for as long as we exist. Star Trek presents a very idealistic view of human nature, which is that we can overcome these issues that we have. Star Wars is about struggling with those problems. The
Star Trek's more
yeah
about maintaining peace.
yeah
Mhm.
overcoming it. Yeah. Um, but yeah, like I like those two franchises for entirely different reasons, and I don't want to.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Star Trek's fine.
yeah,
It's just yeah, it correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Star Trek was ever made Star Wars as a film franchise was always like equally made in England and in America, so you've got that kind of
yeah,
bi-continental
yeah,
production,
yeah,
and Star Wars has always been more like, I don't know, like it's got like a multi-ethnic appeal,
yeah,
in the
yeah. It
sense
does.
of
Yeah,
like everyone has weird accents. They're really drawing from
yeah,
they're really pushing the sense of there's a multicultural feel where I feel like Star Trek, the vision of the future for Star Trek, at least
yeah,
originally, was more about uh not I don't know, maybe monocultural
yeah.
sounds
I
too
mean,
critical, but it
no,
seems like
no. I
everyone kind
mean,
of gets less diverse as they
no,
go
no,
on
but
into the future.
no. But I do feel you're right about, and
Yeah.
the
Like
fed
everyone has the same worldview,
yeah
everyone,
the Federation in Star Trek is a monolithic a federation, a society, much like European Union maybe, or the Soviet Union even. So
Yeah, yeah.
but the Republic in Star Wars is a very diverse, and maybe that's the one of the big reasons for the constant wars, because there's so much disagreement between member planets, and things like that.
hmm
But
And
like,
that I think that resonates with people where they're
yeah,
like, wow, all these people can't seem to get along and
yeah,
they're constantly misunderstanding each
yeah,
other.
yeah,
That
exactly.
actually creates more interesting
Yeah, I mean,
stories
yeah,
often.
but that's the essence of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Again, it's the dualistic aspect of human nature, and the
Mm.
sort of war between those two forces
hmm
that's never going to be resolved. It's always going to be, uh, you know, yeah, it's always going to be
Kind of
there.
like
And
Zelda in that sense.
yeah, I mean Zelda is a
Like
dualistic
there's
setting
always
as
going to be
well.
a
Yeah,
Ganondorf.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. There's
Mm-hmm.
always going to be a Ganondorf, and there's always Link is always because of the curse, things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
Link is always gonna be reincarnated as well as Zelda, and so yeah, it's about maintaining that balance. So, um, but yeah,
Mm.
in Star Trek, it's all about overcoming these problems that we have. Not that Star Wars isn't about overcoming problems, but it's more about it's more about recognizing that those problems are cyclical. They're not going to go
Right.
away. They're not going to go away, with generation. It's always going to come back with new people. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it's a cycle that repeats.
It's like
Avatar has
poetry.
that
It's
same
it's
feel
like
too.
poetry, sort of they rhyme.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll work. So,
Mm-hmm.
but like again that's again that's why I sort of feel like Star Wars is more true to
Mm-hmm.
this sort of reality as the metaphysics of reality as they exist, and Star Trek is more sort of a utopian vision of something that's never gonna realistically speaking happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm. And yet it can make reality romantic,
yeah,
I guess, through its fantasy element
yeah,
that makes it more than just uh Battlestar Galactica, for instance, or it's
yeah,
just kind of like a boilered I don't know, everyone's hard nosed and
yeah.
living out this bleak existence in the 25th
Yeah,
century or something.
yeah. Battlestar Galactica, man. Like,
I still have
not
to
to.
watch it. I still have to watch it.
You should watch it. I mean, like, not to
I
go
know.
too far down that tangent, but like that show is like, I feel like I don't know if grimdark is a proper term for it. It's not really grimdark, but it's very bleak. And but there is that sort of guiding light of the earth, and things like that. So
Yeah, yeah,
always.
yeah. By the end, it hits on a happy note.
Yeah, it does. And
So
a lot of people hate how that show ends, the
Don't
finale.
spoil it for me.
No, I'm not gonna.
Okay.
But a lot of people hate how that show ends. I love it personally. I like the idea of well, no spoilers, right? But
I liked it. I liked it too.
yeah, I like it. Yeah,
It's weird. But then again, I'm used to Star Wars as my main
yeah, exactly.
sci-fi, so
And
like I'm okay with something really strange like that
yeah,
happening.
and it does have that same kind of feeling of returning to it's the
Yeah.
one of the quotes in that show, which is borrowed from Peter Pan, is all of this has happened before and it will all happen again, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what it has in common with the Star Wars setting, right? It's a cyclical thing that repeats.
Mm-hmm.
The silence and the humans will always be in war, or machines and humans will always be in war. Humans invent
Mm-hmm.
machines they wage war against humanity for their liberation, things like that. So but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, again, that's how, you should watch the show, Dennis. It's like, if you can
Yeah,
find it
I
on
plan on it.
yeah, if you can find it on.
Actually, I have access to it now. I think on one of
You
the
do?
streaming services.
Oh,
Oh,
okay,
there you go.
I
yeah.
think I could be mistaken, but I think they just put it on Peacock,
Oh, really?
Oh,
and
nice.
that's a free streaming service right now. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's I don't know if it's free by you, but or if it's in existence with you, but
Yeah, I mean, but like, and the one thing that Dennis is absolutely gonna appreciate is the music. The music
yeah,
by Bear
Bear McCreary,
McCreary
right?
is incredible. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like it makes use of these sort of ethnic instruments, and it makes use of
Mm.
like bagpipes, and things like that. And it shouldn't work in a sci-fi setting, but it does in a weird way.
Bear
It's
McCreary is very good at that kind of stuff.
yeah,
He
he
can
is. Yeah,
he'll go, oh, I'm gonna use this thing from this country and this
yeah,
thing from
yeah,
ancient whatever, and it
Mm-hmm.
just works somehow.
yeah.
He actually made his first his debut into Star Wars recently.
Oh, he did.
Yes, it
Oh.
was one of the VR things. It was
Oh,
I
right,
think Tales
Vader.
from Galaxy's Edge,
Oh,
and he wrote
yeah. I thought you were talking about Vader, Immortal. Yeah.
no, but he wrote a theme for it, and I listened to it, and I'm like, this shouldn't work for Star Wars, but it
Does
does.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's interesting.
And I feel like that's actually the sort of story with the music in this show as well. Like
Hmm.
electronic, I was very anxious about the music. Like
Yeah,
going
it's a
into
departure in
yeah,
ways.
yeah, going into the show for the first time was I was very, I didn't like the main title at first, but it grew on me, and now it's one of my favorite Star Wars themes ever. So,
Yeah, what would the
Yeah.
show be without it? You have to have that western.
yeah, though,
Like
yeah,
you're just waiting to hear
yeah,
it at the end, like,
Hmm.
but you're like, oh,
yeah,
here we
yeah,
go.
da-ding, yeah, and then of course that symphonic element is there. It comes in,
Hmm.
Yeah.
midway through the piece, and things like that. So, but yeah, just like the music is the one element that I just, I'm always very impressed by in this show. Every single episode, not a single boring moment. Um,
Hmm.
I feel maybe in this latest episode, maybe the electronic, twang was maybe a bit too harsh. That's that just
Hmm.
might be that might be just
With
my
the rock guitar,
yeah,
kind
no,
of.
kind of a dubsteppy house elements, things like that. So
Oh yeah, they do introduce that
yeah,
sometimes, where they want to
yeah,
be like, "Oh, the gang is going
yeah,
out, the
yeah,
squad's hitting
yeah,
the town," and then it's
yeah,
yeah, they do
and
that.
Squad's hitting the town.
yeah, and I feel like and I yeah
They did it in my favorite episode, if I remember right. That's when I was like, "Oh my gosh!" There's
yeah
like it's
I
like some hip hop
yeah
beat.
I
Yeah,
don't I don't necessarily feel like that works, but like
yeah.
yeah, it's not
If you
offensive.
notice it, it's probably not
Yeah,
working.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
not
Yeah.
meant to be noticed, and everyone notices it.
I mean, music in Star Wars is definitely meant to be noticed, but it's meant to be noticed in a very
Oh, that's a
good
good
way.
point.
Good way.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But Dennis is an expert on music because, well, he's a
Oh,
composer.
neat.
Yeah, he's a
Wow,
composer.
great.
Yeah, he is.
Well met. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's the interesting thing about Star Wars. Music itself is usually never meant to be noticed in film,
No.
and Star Wars is I would actually argue is no exception of that. The music was not supposed to really stand out. It's just that people loved these movies so much and loved the music so much that they just studied it, and it was the first at least one of the
Mm.
first symphonic scores that people actively like bought and listened to.
On
Most of the time when
vinyl,
people
yeah,
bought
on record,
soundtracks,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Mm.
Th-
most of the
that,
time when
yeah,
people
that
bought
used,
soundtracks
that used
before
to
that,
never
they're like
happen
popular
before.
music
Yeah,
soundtracks.
yeah,
Mm.
it was unprecedented, at the
Yeah,
time.
incidental music before that was almost never put
No,
on a soundtrack.
No.
It was always like pop songs at
Yeah,
the time that were
yeah.
featured in movies.
And
And
that,
even scores for films, right, were considered um, a very much second tier to like it was just
yeah.
kind of throwaway
Don't
stuff
yeah,
that
yeah,
people
yeah,
were doing for a
but
paycheck.
yeah, but any filmmaker worth his salt, which is me. I'm in film school, graduating in a few months, but
Oh,
like
nice.
any filmmaker knows that soundtrack is about 60% of the film, right?
Mm,
So Dennis knows about that. He's going into the business.
cool.
Yeah. So if you're ever looking for any musical stuff for your comic to accompany your comic,
I know. I'm already thinking I might
Dennis
hit you up.
Dennis is your
I've done
guy.
it for books.
Dennis is
I've
your
done it for
yeah
books
yeah he
before.
has yeah. Dennis is
Oh,
your dude.
wonderful.
Yeah, he is your
I'll
guy.
I'll hit you up on Twitter if you're on there or something,
Yeah.
Yeah,
or at least on
yeah.
Discord.
DS Mauer's music.
Dennis.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Dennis is Mauer's music. Yeah. I can just give you the link to his profile. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but like, how long have we been going here? Give me a moment.
About an hour and 8 minutes.
About an hour and 8 minutes. I think I'm not willing to go much past an hour and a half. So because editing takes time and it's a pain in the ass,
yeah.
things like that. So,
Wow, you guys edit? Jeez, I'm used to live streams where everyone just kind of goes in raw and
no,
screws up half the time.
I look. I
I'm
love.
impressed. You guys, do you have like an intro and all that too? And you got a soundtrack at the beginning? Like I kind of miss podcasts. Like there was actually polish.
Yeah, I mean,
there's less interactivity
yeah, I mean,
nowadays.
but that's that's just because editing is sort of my bread and butter. It's what I like
Oh,
to
cool.
do. Yeah,
Mhm.
outside
We'll
of
keep
art,
it going then.
yeah, outside of painting, and things like that, I really enjoy editing. So,
Mm.
yeah, it's my thing. But yeah, like Dennis, one of the sort of very the most talented up and coming young composers as far as I'm concerned.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah, super. Like his stuff is his original stuff is very impressive. But yeah,
Yeah, need more folks like Dennis out there.
yeah, yeah, and just like Dennis is one of those sort of new generation of people who are coming around to the fact of because it's been gone for a while. It's been out of vogue for a while. But Dennis is one of those few people who are coming around again to the fact of melody and the importance of melody.
Oh, great! So
Yeah.
you're are you overthrowing King Hans
Hans
Zimmer
Zimmer, yes,
from his
he is.
throne?
Yes, he is.
Hans Zimmer, I
Good.
can't deal with Hans Zimmer.
No,
Yeah, he
It's
broke it, didn't he?
he did. Yeah, it really was Hans
I
Zimmer.
don't
Yeah.
necessarily think that. Well, it was a sort of avalanche, I guess, because what happened is it's not Hans Zimmer directly who was just like no more melody and music. It's
No.
that he got lazy.
Yeah,
And
he did.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, it's not his music that created it. It's his business that created it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
started pretty much just farming out his music to his intern and training them how to write music the way he would. So now they all have to be
Mhm.
generic and go, okay,
Man.
this sounds like something that Hans Zimmer would
Man,
write.
you can
And
tell.
then
Mm.
he takes all of the credit for
Yeah,
it.
man, you can tell. Dan, he really doesn't like Hans Zimmer, and I don't either.
know.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
To be fair.
No, I think the whole I mean, there's always a moment, there's an aspect to these things. Like we're talking about applied arts
Right.
where there's always a business involved and the medium is the message in
Yeah.
a way, I think, where he's thinking, like how can I make this stuff where the director is going to like they can get a scratch
Right.
score really fast, so I'll just kind of plug in weird little plucky synth sounds and
Yeah.
drum stuff.
I've definitely had to do that before.
Oh god.
Yeah, which
Oh,
makes sense.
God.
So
Can you do
you
this in like 2 days? And I'm like, sure, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't do a melodic,
Yeah.
like a string quartet or something unless you can play all those instruments physically. You can't really do it on the keyboard so much, at least in the 90s when he's pulling this stuff off.
I mean, you
So,
can do it. You can do MIDI. Very like everything
yeah,
Dennis does for the most part is MIDI stuff. But
cool.
but he uses very convincing,
Mm.
high quality MIDI instruments. So
Well, maybe that's why Zimmer needs to leave now because the technology, or he needs to go back to the business as he found it
Yeah.
when there was more melody, because the technology can handle, we can do these scratch scores now
yeah, we
with
can.
melody
Yeah.
convincingly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
it's so hard to look at Hans Zimmer and when he transitioned from what he was doing to like, I don't know, like he did the
mm,
music for The Lion King,
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
and when
mm,
you look at that and then
mhm,
go forward to like Interstellar or something like that, and you're like, what
Yeah.
happened? I
yeah.
mean, there are some scores that I think his minimalism, in a sense, actually does well. I think that it does well in the Dark Knight movies.
Yeah.
Um, be, just because the nature of the movies
Yeah.
and
Because
simple
yeah.
dun, dun theme works
Yeah.
very well.
It fits. Yeah.
But not
So,
everything
yeah.
does. And I feel like he needs
Yeah.
to stop.
So it's not that he can't compose or write compelling melody. It's that he refuses to do so.
Hans Zimmer is not a composer anymore. He is a brand.
He is a
That's
brand.
the issue.
Mm,
Yeah.
hmm hmm
I am the brand. So, uh,
And
Senate jokes. I love them.
uh,
Whenever there's an possibility to sort of drop a Palpatine joke, I do it.
yeah, you do it.
Yeah, I do it. Yeah, he's just so enjoyable in those movies and everywhere else he appears in. You know, like even when he's not being played by Ian McDermott, I really enjoy Palpatine. I enjoy In the Force Unleashed. I enjoy Sam Witwer's take on the character.
Oh yeah, it was great.
He
Yeah.
brings this great. He sort of amps up the humoristic side of Palpatine in that performance, and
hmm
yeah, it's a lot of. I'm not a huge fan of that game in general, but I feel like the performances are very they're
Sam
very
Witwer was a very prolific voice actor.
yeah he is, and very diverse. He's very he has a great range as a voice actor.
Yeah.
So like he can do
I
Yeah.
will say, like, about Palpatine, one of the saving things, like the things that I enjoyed of of The Rise of Skywalker is oh my god, Ian McDiarmid. Even though I didn't like his character being in the movie, I didn't like the story of the movie really, but oh my god,
I
him on
am
screen is
all the
so,
Sith.
but he's so good
Mm.
at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
I
no
Yeah.
matter
He.
how bad some of the lines are, it's Ian McDiarmid as Palpatine. It's like wow, it was so cool, but then you realize that it's that movie.
yeah.
Mhm.
Again, I never saw that movie, and
Mhm.
even though people kept telling me, on Twitter, they were like,
Wow.
they were
That's
like,
amazing.
they
Even
yeah,
boycotted
yeah,
it. Wow.
yeah, man. I mean, like people on Twitter, they were like, "Oh, you're gonna see it eventually. You're gonna cave in. You're
Yeah.
gonna go
No
watch the
one
movie."
boycotted this film. Everyone said they were going to, but no one did. But
I
you're the only
did.
one.
I
That's amazing.
did. I did.
That takes some
Yeah,
huevos. That's
yeah. I haven't.
I
No. Yeah. Yeah.
respect
I still haven't seen the movie, and I never will. And it wasn't a hard choice for me because I've been
that.
so disillusioned for so many years, and Dennis
You're
knows.
really not missing much. There's not
No,
really
I mean, but like
a lot
Dennis,
here.
yeah, yeah. Most people hate The Last Jedi the most. For me, the greatest offender was The Force Awakens. It was the most
Same.
offensive movie I've ever seen in my life. So
Yeah, well, you're stuck on this track now where you have because it's so
Yeah, Ryan
fixed
Johnson
to
couldn't really do much
yeah, exactly.
to
Yeah,
yeah,
fix that, and
yeah,
I think that he did as much as he could.
yeah.
hmm
He did.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, in
There were a
order
lot
to
of elements of
surprise
the
people,
last,
yeah,
like
you've got to
people
yeah.
yell at Ryan Johnson and they go, "Oh, you killed Luke Skywalker's character," but it was already like that
yeah. It
in The
was
Force
all he was
Awakens.
already like back when people started like The Last Jedi came out, people started complaining about the character assassination. I was like, dude, it started with The Force Awakens. It started in that
Yeah,
moment on the Millennium
any
Falcon.
of the problems that people, well, I would say 90% of the problems that people have with The Last Jedi all stem from it following The
The
Force
Force
Awakens.
Awakens. Yeah, yeah,
And
Mhm.
I think that Ryan Johnson did a good job of delving into the more philosophical
yeah.
things,
And there are
and not focusing so much on like the pew pew nature
yeah, yeah.
of Star Wars.
Yeah, there are, again, there are thematic elements in The Last Jedi that I really enjoy. There are questions in there that I enjoy, mostly because they're very similar to the questions, posed by Knights of the Old Republic to the Sith Lords.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think, it asks some very poignant and interesting, sort of challenging questions about again, the metaphysics of the way the entire universe has been set up. So, but yeah,
Mhm.
The Force Awakens. I've seen it twice, and I'm never going to see it again for as long as any of these movies. But still,
Yeah. Well, fortunately, there's
I'll
a
watch
lot
Rogue
to
One as
keep
long
us
as I
going.
live.
So. Yeah, Rogue One is
Rogue One's fun.
really nice. I liked Solo,
Me too.
honestly. Yeah, like it hit a lot of the same. If you like Rogue One, you probably like Solo. To
yeah,
be honest.
I like parts of Solo, fine, and I especially like the soundtrack.
Oh
Yeah,
my God, John Powell, please return.
Please
Please
do,
return to
please
Star
do.
Wars.
So,
yeah,
And
it was great. Yeah.
speaking of which, that deluxe soundtrack is coming out soon.
oh, that's cool.
Oh,
Wait, did
great.
you hear about that?
No, I didn't. But
Yeah, so
yeah, I'm very yeah.
John Powell's been doing a bunch of cool stuff with his music, and I don't think he was able to secure a score for Solo, but for
Right,
How to Train Your Dragon, he released like the full score,
right.
and I bought a copy of it.
I haven't
And
seen any of those sequels, but I've seen the first movie, but like I haven't seen the sequels to How to Train Your Dragon.
I've seen the third one twice, and I cried both times.
Is it are
It's
those
so
yeah,
good.
so okay, so is the second sequel any good though?
Yeah, the second and third are both really good. It's just
Okay.
like the third being like the ending of it.
Right, right.
It just was so good.
Okay. Yeah.
And no, but so anyway, yeah, no, Solo. There is a complete soundtrack of the movie coming out in 6 days.
Yeah, I feel like yeah,
Mm.
like there are elements of Solo that I enjoy like a whole lot, and again, especially the soundtrack. But I feel like he was really kind of playing second fiddle in his own movie to the woman, and I feel like not to go into my issues with politics and things like that, but I feel like that's sort of a metastasizing cancer. That is sort of a big issue with these movies now. That it was supposed to be about Han Solo, and it ended up being about what's her face,
Kira.
I
Kira.
was
Yeah.
kind of upset that they never really did anything else with her
No,
because they
Yeah.
left the movie off in this kind of, oh, okay, she's leaving, and then
yeah,
we never hear about her ever
yeah.
again.
Hmm.
And then of course the Darth Maul cameo at the end was completely pointless. It was there to put put a lightsaber into the film. Though it was
Yep.
cool to see Ray Park again. So
Mhm.
so he's always fun.
I like it in terms of Clone Wars and Rebels, but then again, that's just me. I like those shows
Yeah.
a lot more than you do.
Yeah, you do. I mean, again, this is I feel like a broken record, but
Hmm.
I do, there are parts of Rebels that I do enjoy. I like the relationship between Kanan and Ezra, I think his name is.
Yeah.
See, this is how
Mhm.
little I know about this new universe, right? I know all about the EU and very little, next to nothing about this new setting, right? So,
Yeah.
as far as the High Republic thing goes, I'm not interested at all. It seems
I'm
like
interested to see what they do with it, but I'm like, I don't know. It seems
it
a little flat to me.
it feels like an effort to attempt to replace the old Republic era, and I don't think that's going to happen. It's not going to work.
I don't think that it is because they've talked about in this new universe, they've talked about like Malachor and like
Yeah,
Darth
but
Bane and all
yeah,
that
but
kind of stuff.
that's not Malachor. That's
Oh, I know, but I'm
some
saying like
other planet pretending to be Malachor. So
right. But I'm saying like they've talked about all this stuff that
look,
happened like a
look,
thousand or more years ago,
look.
but High Republic
I'm
isn't.
gonna rant because I have to. The cataclysm on Malachor in the Legends timeline makes sense. It's a tragedy. It's a Hiroshima level event. It's tied to the personal histories of both player characters in both games. Genius stuff, and the fact that they just ignored all of that, wiped the slate clean, and they just yeah yeah
Mhm.
I don't know what to say. Um,
I guess but like my point though is that I think they're not trying to replace I think they're going to do their own old Republic thing
right.
eventually. I don't know how that's going to be, but this isn't it.
Yeah.
This is just like a
Mhm.
story that happens a couple centuries
Right.
before the prequel
Right.
trilogy. But
Like,
because of that, it kind of seems like they're a little trapped in what they can or can't do
I mean,
because you can't have the Sith as a main villain.
I mean, they're not trapped though. I mean, like they could choose like any time period they want, and they
Oh, I'm
choose.
saying like the authors that are going to be doing like
Right.
the High
Right.
Republic
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
They seem
Yeah.
like they're kind of like, what do you do in
Yeah.
that period? Like it's an
Mhm.
era of peace.
I mean, but yeah. I mean, again, that's the issue with stories revolving around Jedi, right? You need that presence of the dark side for it to be a compelling narrative, I think. The idea of Jedi fighting space pirates or whatever, it's not very interesting, is it?
That's fine for like a one-off book or
Yeah,
something,
yeah, exactly.
but
Mhm.
I feel like a whole project like they're doing seems a little over the top.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, in the Jedi Quest books, with Anakin and Obi-Wan, I don't know if you like Matt, if you ever read any of those
No,
books.
no, I haven't.
Yeah. Okay, so Jedi Quest is this young readers book series about the exploits of Anakin and Obi-Wan between episodes 1 and 2, right? So
Mm.
about Anakin's training essentially. And I feel like I don't, those they feel like sort of they're sort of Jedi missions that they undertake, as master and pupil. And there's some pirate action and bounty hunter action in there. There's action with Grunt Omega, things like that. Um,
Mhm.
but like, yeah, for the most part, I feel like a narrative based, or based around Jedi should always have the presence of the dark side,
Mhm.
whether it be the Sith or Dark Jedi, I don't care. Um, just give me the dark side, right? Give me the conflict, the
Mhm. Mhm.
dualism. It has to be there.
Yeah, and if it's not, then Anakin's balance is not the most ultimate thing
No,
in the galaxy.
no, no.
It has to be always unbalanced until that moment
Yeah,
when he balances
yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like, I think we're actually kind of running out of time here. So, I think we should like start wrapping up with this episode. Um,
Cool.
yeah. So what we usually do is that we give our sort of final thoughts on the episode, right? Um, so Who wants to go first?
Yeah, well, I just thought it was a nice it's hitting like the working class sci-fi themes
Right.
that I dig
Right.
from Star Wars, and I enjoy that kind of ground level perspective.
Right.
Like there's something about Mandalorian's post Clone Wars that's a little too serious to me, but I dig the action that they're giving us, and it's still hitting all the nice notes of you know weird strange little creature shop uh, effects and nice CG
Right.
and surprising settings and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's still hitting on all cylinders for me. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
probably 8 out of 10.
Okay. So Dennis.
I also really enjoyed this episode, and I feel like they're really moving toward where they're trying to go with the season. And I think
Yeah, they're making big moves. Yeah.
And I'm perfectly okay with that. And yeah, I just had a really fun time watching this.
Yeah.
I'll also say like 8 out of 10.
Yeah. Okay. For me, as I mentioned, at the beginning, this felt like the first real kind of a filler, almost fan servicey kind of a deal. Yeah. Again, I wasn't a big fan of it. I liked the music. I like the character dynamics between Mando and everybody else. But yeah, the plot and the B plot with the Bo-Katan, right? I don't really care for those. So this felt like this felt like a thing that sort of had to sort of that we had to get out of the way to get to the actual meat, with the continuation of the story in the next part, hopefully. But yeah, like for me, like I'm gonna have like I don't know, like maybe very mediocre, bland episode, like maybe 5 out of 10. Yeah, for me. So very different from both of you. But yeah, nothing terrible by any means.
And you really liked
different things too, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really like.
There's enough Star Wars for everyone, which is nice. And you liked episode 2, didn't you?
Yes, I like the last one. I really like the sort of moody atmosphere. I like the I like the atmospheric music that they had going with the spider episode. There's like that. I
thought it was decent.
Yeah.
That was more filler for me. I dug it all right, but
yeah, that episode was that was
looking
like
at my watch.
that was like 7.5 out of 10 for me. So
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. See, there's enough. That's what's great about Star. There's just so many notes that you can hit with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Which ironically comes from like someone shepherding it for decades.
Yeah.
A single person, kind of being the creative lead and vision for it actually made it more diverse in sort of the storytelling decisions and the sort of weird, something for everyone kind of feel that you get from Star Wars than you probably get out of most franchises.
Yeah, and there really is something. Yeah, and that's kind of what I keep telling to people who are new to Star Wars. They're like, they come to me, they're like, "Hey, man, like, I really want to get into the universe. Where should I start?" I'm like, well, it's like, what do you like? Do you like action? Do you like horror? Do you like romance? What do you like? Just give me anything. And I'm like, my motto with Star Wars has always been like, if there is a story in the Star Wars setting for everybody. You just have to find it, right? Yeah. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so
and even in this show, there's different types of episodes, which is refreshing.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, but yeah, I think that's about it for this part, this episode, and like we'll see you next week. I think at least Dennis and I. I don't know if you feel like returning, Matt. If you had a fun time, I don't know.
I should be able to hit you guys up. You can always edit me out.
Yeah,
if
no, we're not going to do that.
Just take all my voice.
So
you're going to retroactively.
No
need for Matt.
Yeah. Hey, man, don't feel like the third wheel. You're not. Absolutely, by no means whatsoever.
It was a fun time.
Yeah, very happy to have you. Very happy to have this third perspective on the matter. But yeah, that's it. That's about it. See you next time.
See ya.